Hey everybody, welcome to the real United States. And I find myself once again in a creepy old cemetery. We are actually in downtown Baltimore, Maryland, at the Westminster Burial Ground Cemetery and Catacombs. Now I realize I'm too close to it to get a full shot of this. This is the beautiful church that's up here behind us. And this burial ground dates back to, well, the very beginnings of our country. And there are, in fact, many historical figures from the War of 1812 buried here, including the grandfather of Edgar Allan Poe, who fought at the Battle of North Point, I believe it was. But I'm not here about his grandfather. I am actually here to share with you about Edgar Allan Poe, who's buried just behind us. So here, literally on the corner of the graveyard, right on Green and Fayette Street, is the tomb of Edgar Allan Poe. Now, Poe is significant in American history for a very good reason. He was the first person to try to make his entire living as a fiction writer. Not as a nonfiction, as a journalist or anything, but the first person to try and make his living off of stories. And if you've read Poe's work, if you haven't, you should. If you've read it, he had a very dark view of the world. Now, I don't know a great deal about him personally. I haven't done a great deal of study on him, but I'm very fond of his work, and of course, especially his most famous poem, The Raven. But Poe, when he died, was only 40 years old. And the interesting thing is he was found on October 3rd in 1849, wandering the streets of Baltimore, delirious. And they discovered him, they took him to the local hospital. Now, he never really gained cognizance enough to understand or explain why he was in this state. And to add to the whole mystery, when he was found, he was wearing clothes that were not his own. So he's like completely delirious, wearing a stranger's clothes, and wandering the streets of Baltimore, Maryland. They took him to the hospital, and it took 4 days before he finally succumbed to whatever the ailment was. And it's been lost to history now what actually was the cause of his death. Now, when he was originally buried, he was buried here at the Westminster graveyard, but he was buried in the back of the church without a headstone. And laid there for about 26 years until in 1875, he was moved here, and this large monument you see now was placed here in his honor. Now, like I say, there's a lot of historic figures from the War of 1812 especially. War of 1812, very significant part of Baltimore history. So he's in good company with a lot of people of historical significance. Now, we're not going to take you around and show you all this, but a lot of the graves here are above ground. They're crypts with cement or stone covers. And we're going to swing around a little bit. We'll show you a little bit of this. I don't know if we can get like this here directly next to us is all granite. These are crypts where the coffins are placed inside and then sealed. And it's all above ground. In fact, further down here, you're going to see that this one, the name is Kelso, incidentally, has an iron door that is closed and locked off for this crypt. And finally, you'll see that many of the graves are like this, where they're raised. This one's brick, incidentally. That's unusual. Often they're stone, like the one behind it, where the coffin is placed inside, and then is stone covered. But this one's actually brick. So definitely back from that era in the early 1800s or even late 1700s. And interestingly enough, if you can tilt that down and show right here at my feet, Robert Watson's grave has this large marble plaque on top, and this one's below ground, but it's literally in the walkway, the brick walkway of the cemetery. So that gives you a little idea, I suppose, about where Poe is buried. I think the fact that he was the first novelist, if you will, or fiction writer in the United States is important. His work is always fun around Halloween, of course, and spooky times like that around the campfire. This actually is a family grave. I don't know if we can really show this or not. Virginia Clem Poe, and I don't have enough of this committed to memory, but obviously another relative. There's another name on the other side of this, and of course this beautiful bronze escutcheon of Poe himself. And there are placards here, incidentally. This is a National Park Service project, if you will. This part of the National Park Service, as far as I know, have these placards here with the pictures and explanations of Poe and the people that are buried here. So beautiful old wrought iron fence. It's a very nice setting. I mean, if you've got to be dead, this is as good a place as any, I suppose. Beautiful big old maple trees. So anyway, I just wanted to bring you here, downtown Baltimore, and share with you the final resting place of Edgar Allan Poe, one of our great literary treasures here in the United States. I hope you've enjoyed this short visit to the Westminster Burial Ground and Catacombs. If you got questions or comments, hey, leave them in the comment section down below. I love hearing from all of you. I try to get back to everybody I can. If you're new here, hey, pick subscribe, come along for the adventure, because we got lots more to show you. And as always, well, thanks for watching.
Thank you.